what they're trying to do now is this bag was pre-cut. It's bigger than what it needs to be for this particular size dinghy, but finding the center line longitudinally on this thing is the first thing they typically will do, to tack that in the middle and then work outboard from that point. Every time you tack it, you go to the next furthest joint, which would be at the outside. You cut the bag system in half, and then you just work your way together. You'll end up taking the extra bag up in various pleat sizes, depending upon the bag size initially. Around the perimeter, we have what we call sealant tape. It's a double stick butyl tape. It's about an 1/8 inch thick, and this is the 3/8 wide material.
So as you can see, the bag is much larger than the part because it's not the same shape. So the bag is basically two-dimensional, big rectangle, and our boat is three-dimensional and it has a pointy end. So what we're doing is we're putting a lot of the bag material into the boat so it can really conform to the mold and help to consolidate all of our dry reinforcements. We're making pleats with sealant tape and just taking up extra bag. Any bag that we have outside of the part doesn't really help us. So you can see we only have about 1 inch outside of the flange. The bagging film is available in a couple of different thicknesses. We have 50 micron, 75 micron, or 2 mils or 3 mils. When we're sealing the vacuum bag, we want to make sure that we have a clean flange. We don't want any fibers going across the flange underneath our sealant tape or on top of our sealant tape, because that will give us an air leak. For vacuum infusion, we want to make sure we have a very good, very tight bag with no vacuum drop. Jeff's going to show us up how we finally close the bag. Because as you notice, we were making pleats along the length of the hull, but then we get to the point where we have to make the final pleat, and that can be kind of tricky sometimes. So Jeff's going to show us.
So what I do is I take the bag and I kind of form that last pleat, okay? And then I want to cut a piece of tape that's longer than that. I'm going to try and explain this. I need 3 hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this just like I would do a regular pleat, where run the tape up one side. And a lot of times if you can give yourself extra room, in other words, right now, this distance is pretty short. If I had a longer distance, it would make this part a little bit easier for me. So I get the tape on the one side. And I'm just going to close this bag up this way, down this seam. And that's it.
Once we get the bag sealed up, we'll connect our vacuum lines, which is running around the perimeter. So we have the polyethylene tubing. It's already teed off and plumbed so we can connect to our tees. We're going to, we have vacuum all the way around the perimeter, but we have it connected at 3 points. This is going to give us more control over the infusion process. If the resin, for some reason, races faster on one side, we can clamp off this vacuum and leave the others open. Likewise, the transom's probably going to be one of the first things to fill, and so we can clamp off the vacuum line on the transom and still maintain vacuum on the rest of the part. Connecting the hoses through the bag is another critical area for the infusion process. In this case, we're using nylon tees and polyethylene tubing. So the barbed tees can really bite into the tubing. We use some sealant tape around the bag. We'll puncture a hole in the bag. So you can see up on the screen, Bob is puncturing the hole in the bag now. He has sealant tape around that. The sealant tape's going to help it seal to the polyethylene tubing. So you can see it's a pretty tight fit. All these fittings have to be airtight. So after we connect the hose to the barb, we wrap some extra sealant tape around there just to make sure we have a nice airtight seal. So now that we have the vacuum line connected, we're going to start positioning the bag. So we started the vacuum pump. It's starting to evacuate the air from under the bag. We have a lot of volume of air under the bag, so it's going to take a few minutes to pull it down. If you notice, we haven't connected our resin feed line yet. And we're going to wait until the bag is pulled all the way down, so we make sure that our T for our resin feed line is positioned on the bag where on it. Yeah, we can see that the bag is conforming to the part. We had this bag that was much larger than our part, but now it's starting to conform. So these guys will continue to work, get the bag positioned, get the resin feed line attached, and then we're going to be, we'll do the final leak checks, and we'll be doing the infusion at 1:15.